Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that every book on earth has vanished overnight. Every message, every law, every map, every history book suddenly disappears without a trace. Within a few generations, humanity begins forgetting almost everything it has ever learned. This isn't science fiction. For most of human history, this was reality. Knowledge lived only inside people's minds, and minds never lived forever. When the wrong person died, an entire lifetime of experience disappeared with them. One forgotten lesson could mean a starvation, war, or the collapse of an entire community. Humanity wasn't fighting monsters or disasters. It was fighting something far more dangerous. It was fighting forgetfulness. Without realizing it, our ancestors were trapped inside the limits of memory itself. Every child had to relearn what previous generations had already discovered. Every mistake returned again and again because nothing could truly be preserved. Civilization could only move as fast as people could remember. Then one invention shattered that invisible prison forever. It didn't look powerful. It wasn't made of iron, fire, or gold. Yet this single invention would outlive every empire ever built. It would preserve the words of kings long after their kingdoms turned into dust. It would carry ideas across deserts, oceans, and thousands of years. It would become the reason you can hear this story today. This is the incredible story of how humans invented writing. Long before the first letter was ever carved, people already understood something terrifying. Memory could not be trusted forever. Hunters remembered where animals migrated. Farmers remembered when rivers flooded. Healers remembered which plants could save a life and which ones could end it. Parents taught their children everything they knew, hoping nothing would be forgotten. But hope was never enough. One accident, one disease, one unexpected death, and knowledge that took decades to build disappeared forever. For thousands of years, humanity lived only one generation away from losing everything. People tried everything to protect their knowledge. Stories were repeated around campfires. Children memorized the voices of their elders. Some lessons survived for centuries. Most did not. Every generation changed the story a little. A missing detail became a dangerous mistake. A forgotten warning became another tragedy. As families grew into villages and villages became cities, memory began to fail faster than ever. Trade connected thousands of strangers. Food traveled across great distances. Animals, metals, and valuable goods changed hands every single day. Soon, nobody could remember who owned what anymore. Arguments became common, promises were denied, debts were forgotten, trust slowly disappeared. Civilization had become too complex for memory alone. People needed proof, not a stronger memory, something stronger than memory itself. The first solution was almost unbelievably simple. Instead of remembering everything, people began leaving marks behind. A line could represent grain, a circle could represent a jar, a simple symbol could represent a sheep. These weren't words, they weren't even sentences. But for the first time in history, information could remain behind after a person walked away. It was a tiny idea, yet it would become one of the greatest turning points in human history. Those small marks would eventually transform into something capable of preserving entire civilizations. The breakthrough came in a place that changed the course of human history forever. Between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, the Sumerians built some of the world's first great cities. Every day, thousands of people traded grain, animals, tools, and precious materials. Keeping track of everything became impossible. Someone would always forget. Someone would always lie. Someone would always lose count. So the Sumerians did something no humans had ever done before. They pressed a sharpened reed into soft clay, leaving tiny marks behind. Each mark represented something real: a sheep, a basket of grain, a jar of oil. At first, these symbols looked more like drawings than writing. They weren't created to tell stories, they existed to solve problems. But every new trade brought a new challenge. Soon, simple pictures were no longer enough. How do you draw a promise? How do you draw tomorrow? How do you draw a king's command or a family's debt? Slowly, those simple pictures began changing. They stopped representing only objects. They started representing sounds, then entire words, then complete ideas. Without realizing it, humanity had crossed an invisible line. For the first time, thoughts could survive without the person who created them. Knowledge was no longer trapped inside the human mind. It could now outlive generations. And the future of civilization changed forever. Writing spread faster than anyone could have imagined. What began as a way to count grain slowly became a way to preserve entire civilizations. Kings recorded their victories, merchants recorded their trades, priests recorded their beliefs. For the first time, laws no longer depended on memory alone. A ruler's words could remain unchanged long after his death. Justice became more consistent. Trade became safer. Empires became stronger. Knowledge could finally travel farther than the people who created it. But writing still had one enormous problem. Only a small number of people knew how to use it. Learning hundreds of symbols could take years. Scribes dedicated their entire lives to mastering the system. To ordinary people, writing seemed almost like magic. A few strange marks on clay could carry a message across an entire kingdom. Those who could write held incredible power. They controlled history itself. If something was never written down, future generations might never know it existed. If something was recorded, it could survive for thousands of years. Humanity had discovered something greater than memory. It had discovered permanence, and this was only the beginning. Thousands of years later, another civilization would transform writing once again. The ancient Egyptians filled temple walls with beautiful hieroglyphs that told stories of gods and kings. Across Asia, early Chinese characters began preserving ideas that still survive today. Different cultures invented different systems, yet they all solved the same problem. How do you stop knowledge from disappearing? Then came another breakthrough that changed everything. Instead of learning hundreds of complicated symbols, people began using a small collection of simple letters. The Phoenicians created one of the first true alphabets. For the first time, writing became faster, easier, and far more accessible. The Greeks improved it. The Romans spread it across continents. Generation after generation, the alphabet continued evolving. Every new civilization added something of its own. Soon, writing was no longer reserved for kings or priests alone. Merchants could use it, soldiers could use it, ordinary families could use it. Ideas no longer belonged only to the powerful. They could belong to anyone willing to learn. A discovery that began with tiny marks pressed into wet clay had become humanity's greatest tool for sharing knowledge, and its influence was only beginning to reshape the world. Writing changed far more than communication. It completely transformed the way humans thought about the future. Before writing, every generation was forced to begin almost from the beginning. After writing, each generation could continue where the last one had stopped. Knowledge no longer disappeared with the people who discovered it. It accumulated. A farmer could record better ways to grow food. A healer could preserve treatments that saved lives. An engineer could improve another engineer's ideas, instead of reinventing everything from nothing. For the first time, human progress began accelerating. Great libraries appeared, schools were established. Scientists compared discoveries made hundreds of years apart. Without writing, mathematics could never become more complex. Astronomy could never predict the movement of the stars. History could never remember the rise and fall of civilizations. Even the greatest inventions would eventually disappear into silence. Writing became humanity's greatest storage of knowledge. Every generation added another page, another idea, another discovery. Together, those pages became the foundation of the modern world. Everything you learn today stands upon words written by people who died centuries before you were born. In many ways, writing became humanity's way of defeating time itself. Today, writing surrounds you so completely that it has become almost invisible. Every message you send, every book you read, every street sign you pass, every website you visit exists because of an idea born thousands of years ago. The screen in your hand is only the newest chapter in the same story. The symbols have changed, the tools have changed, but the purpose has remained exactly the same: to preserve knowledge beyond a single human life. Every civilization that changed the world left one thing behind: its words. Without writing, we would know almost nothing about ancient Egypt, nothing about the Roman Empire, nothing about the scientists who transformed our understanding of the universe. Every discovery would vanish with the people who made it. Every generation would be forced to begin again. Instead, humanity built an endless conversation stretching across thousands of years. Each generation speaks, the next one listens, then adds something new before passing it forward again. That is how civilization grows, not because people live forever, but because their ideas do. Writing did far more than record history. It made history possible. Perhaps the greatest invention in human history was never the wheel, fire, or even electricity. Perhaps it was simply the moment one human decided that an idea deserved to outlive its creator. For thousands of years, humanity searched for the greatest invention ever created. Some believed it was fire, others believed it was the wheel. Many would later choose electricity or the internet. Yet none of those inventions could have spread across the world without writing. Fire can cook food. The wheel can move people. Electricity can power machines. But writing allows one human mind to speak to another across thousands of years. It allows a child to learn from someone who died centuries before they were born. It allows discoveries to survive wars, disasters, and the collapse of entire civilizations. Every great idea that changed the world had one thing in common. Someone wrote it down. Perhaps that is the true reason civilization exists today. Not because humans became stronger, not because they became faster, but because they found a way to remember. The next time you write your name, send a message, open a book, or read a single sentence on a screen, remember that you are using one of humanity's oldest and most powerful inventions. An invention that began with a few simple marks pressed into wet clay. An invention that refused to let human knowledge disappear, and because of that decision made thousands of years ago. You are able to hear this story today.